Paul, I know the next 2 years. We also, I think, this week for the first time, did we put up on the website or social media 24, 48 hours before the meeting the purchase order bills and prepaid warrants?
We did. It's the first time. Oversight, I know.
You know,
we had never traditionally included them, and there's no reason why we shouldn't.
no, there isn't, but it also, I mean, one of my favorite lines is don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. If there's a story that, hey, you're not putting those things up and you're doing a resolution at a board meeting. This town, from what I've found out in 3+ years as a supervisor, puts out our budget, preliminary budget, final budget, in a transparent manner to the community different from any other town in Monroe County. We put every line item of appropriation in that budget. We used to do it in the Webster Herald, then it was delivered to every house when the newspaper industry was under challenges and they couldn't do that anymore. We now put it in the Webster Today. No other town does that. But I like that practice. I mean, that is erring on the side of caution to show, you know, it's a little boring, you know, because it's accounting. And being an accountant like you, I never considered putting the purchase orders and prepaid warrants because they're somewhat encapsulated within the budget. And you tell us very quickly if we're going beyond an appropriation line item in the budget.
That's what the transfers are for.
Right. So, but we talked about it this week, and no harm, no foul. It's easy to put them up there, and I guess if the citizens want to review that, that's usually counting sheet. God bless them, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll hand it to you for the next two.
So yeah, the next two are what we think are the final 2022 budget transfers and amendments. On the revenue side, the sale of equipment within the highway townwide was lower than what we expected because they did trade-ins rather than outright sales at auction. And the trade-in basically just reduces the cost on the expense side. Mortgage and sales tax were up, so that was positive. Gave us some funds to cover some of the other revenue items that were below budget. On the expense side, we actually had, this includes a rather significant increase to the police vehicle line, about $103,000. Basically what happened, the vehicles that were budgeted for 2023 came in December 2022. They came in earlier than expected. So when they're delivered, we incur the expense. So we actually got a double hit in 2022 for police vehicles. So we had to cover that. So that means in 2023, there won't be any expense for police vehicles. So we'll have an excess. Electricity and fuel costs were up. No secret there. Our retirement expense was actually pretty significantly under budget, so it gave us some funds to cover some of the other line items that were short. On the amendment side, they're rather insignificant. Had increased the parking and trust fees, and had increased the electricity line for streetlights, and had increased the park district maintenance line slightly. So, and the rest of them are just housekeeping items, just cleaning things up at the end of the year.
Any questions or comments from the board?
No, the vehicle expense line for the police department in 2023, that was just show no cost incurred, right?
Right. 23 will show no cost.
Well, I make a motion to approve the final 2022 budget transfers.
Second.
Supervisor Fleury?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wood? Aye.
And I make a motion to approve the final 2022 budget amendments.
Second.
Supervisor Fleury?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wood? Aye. Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
All right, before we move to Arthur Trone on this next one, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Paul, but consistent with what I've seen, I walked into 3 years ago a budget philosophy of the leadership of this town that is conservative. Be conservative at budgeting your expenses, be conservative on budgeting your revenues. And this town historically has done better on actuals than on budgets.
Yeah.
I know that the auditors are in, we won't have the report till April, but preliminary results for '22 show that we have continued that trend. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
the internal financials done, which is pretty close to what the auditors will end up with. And once again, the trend continued.
Yeah.
Thanks to record sales tax, mortgage tax was still over budget. Some of the expense items were under budget, just did not occur in the town. So, right, we turned surpluses in most of the funds. The sewer fund we did not. It was a deficit of around
Sure.
400,000.
But I mean, and I've said it before, I think, for a town board member, I think it's arguably your most important job is a fiduciary responsibility. You are the guardian of the taxpayers' money. One thing is to have your lips flap about that. I think historically we've shown that we've done that. I thank you, Paul, for the fund balance policy a year or two ago, because that once again will guide us as we move into, believe it or not, only a couple months we'll start the 20.